Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm going to get started with the topic here of the art of the friendly no, how to say no without saying no. The path to enlightenment that the Buddha is sharing with you is all about how to train your mind to promote this peace and joy, getting rid of the pollutions of the mind. And as you're doing that, you're going to become more and more peaceful. One of the first things you learn on the path to enlightenment is that any feelings that you're experiencing is being caused by your own mind. And this is why you can eliminate them, because your mind is actually causing them. But the vast majority of the world doesn't understand this. And any kind of feelings that they experience, they will oftentimes attribute it to you. And then you can also oftentimes lose relationships or have difficulties in your relationships because as people are experiencing those painful feelings, they can push you aside, or they can be bitter and harsh and hostile to you, or they can start putting their expectations on you. So in terms of promoting harmony in your relationships, there's going to need to be things that you learn. Of course, the core central teachings of the Buddha are going to help you with that. But then something like this will also help you as well. Just like the Buddha is teaching you how to train your mind to get to the peace and joy, one of the other things that he does in his teachings is he's teaching you how to navigate this unenlightened world where there's so many people who are unenlightened and who are more than willing to blame you for the feelings that they're experiencing. So one of the things you might notice is that this word no, people tend to not like it, right? If you're invited to a party, or if somebody is asking something of you, if you're like, no, people tend to get really shocked by that. It feels a bit harsh to them. So there's ways to say no to something without saying no, right? Like a really strong no. So I'm going to teach you guys that as part of this particular part of our course here. So first, the problem is that the unenlightened mind doesn't typically like hearing the word no. Also, the derivatives like can't, don't, won't, you'll find that other people will experience frustration or agitation or annoyance. And always keep in mind, you're not causing that frustration. You're not causing that annoyance. You're not causing their mind to be discontent. But if you can practice in such a way that reduces or eliminates the opportunity for their mind to become discontent, you'll find that you'll have more success in your relationships. So even though you know through the Four Noble Truths that anytime somebody is discontent, they are causing it themselves, you can actually practice in ways that removes the potential for their mind to experience any kind of frustration or agitation or other discontent feelings. And because of that, you'll have more harmony in your relationships. They won't push you aside. They won't be bitter, harsh, and hostile. And you'll notice that less and less people will be putting their expectations on you. So this is the problem, is that the unenlightened mind doesn't typically like hearing the word no. The solution is that it's best to not use these words, but instead find alternative ways to communicate. And this is why I call this the art of the friendly no, how to say no without saying no. So for example, if somebody invites me to a party and they say, hey, David, I'm having this birthday party this weekend on Saturday. I really want you to come. Can you come to my party? I won't say, no, I can't come to your party. Even though I can't, perhaps, I won't say, no, I can't come to your party, because this person's mind, hearing that no, they can experience those painful feelings because they have a craving. They have this longing. They have this yearning for me to come to their party. And if they get that, they'll get those pleasant feelings. But if they don't get it, they're going to get sad or frustrated or irritated. And now what the unenlightened mind does is they're going to attribute that to me, and they're going to push me to the side. Or they'll be bitter, harsh, and hostile, or they'll put their expectations and try to control me and force me. Like, come on, man, you just got to come. Like, come on, why aren't you coming? Like, oh, it's going to be fun. Everybody's going to be there. Like, come on, like, we'll give you a microphone and you could talk about Buddhism. Who knows what they might say, right? They might try to say anything to try to get me to come to this party. Who knows, right? So rather than just say, no, I'm not going to come to your party, I might say, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate your kindness. It sounds like it's going to be a great time. If I can come, I will let you know. I haven't said no. Right? This is the art of the friendly no. How to say no without saying no. So you're going to need to find some different ways, right? It's not going to be just one phrase that's going to work for every situation, but you would like to create this kind of thing where you might say, oh, I really appreciate your invitation. That's very thoughtful of you. Thank you for thinking about me. If I'm able to come to that, I will surely let you know, right? You haven't said, yes, you're coming. You haven't said, no, you're not coming. You're just saying, hey, if I can come, I will let you know. right? You're not even saying, oh, I've got some other things. I need to think about those things. I need to think about your party. Because now what you're saying is, I'm going to pick what's more important. And if I don't come to your party, that means that you're not important to me. So you're not interested in doing that. You're interested in just kind of leaving it open that you may come and you may not. And if you are going to come, then I'll let you know. Right. And this kind of keeps it to the point where you haven't said yes, you haven't said no. And now 2 days before the party or 1 day before, if you can go, you call up your friend and say, hey, it looks like I'm going to come and I'll be coming to your party. And if you can't go, you don't have to call them, because you said, if I am able to come, I will let you know. Well, I'm not able to come, so I'm not going to let you know. Right. So now you haven't lied. You haven't told a lie. Right. And you've kept your communication nice and clean and pure. And now their mind's going to have to let you go, because now they're going to go talk to all their other friends and they're going to be like, oh, I really want you to come to my party. I really want you to come to my party. Right. So this is a situation where you might use this. Or like if someone's asking you to borrow money. Right, somebody might say, hey, I really can't pay my rent. I'm behind on my bills. I need to borrow $500. Can I borrow your money? Well, in some cases, depending on the relationship, you may let them borrow money, but maybe you're not interested in letting them borrow money. But if someone has this craving for money and you don't let them borrow it, they're going to push you aside. Right? Because they're not getting what they want. This happened to me when I first got out of college. One of my college friends who was still in college came to me asking me for money. So what you would like to do is you would like to use the same kind of thing. You would like to say, hey, I realize that rent is really important for you and you need to get that rent. If I'm able to let you borrow that money, I'll let you know. I'm going to take a look at my finances and see if that's possible. And then I'll let you know if I'm able to let you borrow that money. Right? You haven't committed yes, you haven't committed no. You just said, hey, I'm going to take a look and I'll let you know if I'm able to do that. Right? Because in a situation where a friend came to me after college, when I got out of college, I was 1 year ahead of him. He came to me and asked me to borrow money and I said no. And I didn't see him ever since then. I have no idea what he's doing in his life. And actually, the way that I said it is I said, oh, okay, you need money? I said, what did you guys do last night? Weren't you hanging out with your friends? And he was like, yeah, we went to the bar, we did this, we did that, we did this, we did that. And I was like, oh, well, if you went to the bar and you were drinking, why didn't you use that money for your tuition? Because he was trying to pay his tuition. And he was like, oh, well, we just wanted to go have fun. And I said, well, if you don't pay your tuition, you get to go home and spend time with your family. But if I don't get to pay my bills, I'm going to get kicked out of where I live and I'm not going to be able to survive. This was the wrong thing to say. I didn't handle this properly because I was young in my 20s. I didn't know these teachings. I basically was creating this confrontation like, hey, you don't really need the money. Why'd you go out drinking? Kind of judging him a little bit in this situation. So it didn't turn out well. And I never seen him since then. He was a really good friend. It's unfortunate because he was a really good guy. But this is what's going to happen if you don't handle the situation, because he had a craving. He wanted that money. He came to my house specifically. He drove like an hour to come see me just to be able to get that money. And I wasn't able to give it to him because my money was really tight. I was just out of college. I didn't have much money myself. So this art of the friendly no is so key in order to maintain your relationships. Ultimately, if somebody chooses to push you aside in their relationships, okay, they choose to push you aside. No big deal. If you're not attached to them, it doesn't hurt you, right? You don't feel any painful feelings. But where possible, you would like to create the least opportunity for these kinds of things to occur so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you're using language where people are getting discontent based on their cravings, and now you find it very challenging to have relationships. So the more that you learn this art of the friendly no, it'll get easier and easier for you, and to practice it each time you do it, it can be challenging at first, but then as you get going, you practice it each time, it can get easier and easier. So what I like to do is open up to any questions you guys have on this topic, and then see if you guys would like to do a little bit of role playing or a little bit of examples. If you have examples from your life where you feel like you didn't quite handle it so well, maybe you did say no, maybe you would like to kind of replay that, and we could practice this so you kind of get in the habit of doing this. But first, let me see what questions you guys have. Liz, would you mind using a mic?
Hello. Mm-hmm. Hi. So thank you for that example. And I'm sorry, but I'm having a visceral reaction to this phraseology of if I can help, if I can attend, I will let you know. to me, I'm thinking about certain situations, and to me that seems it seems indirect. It seems disrespectful. If somebody's asking me, "Will you come to my party?" "Oh, I'll let you know if I can." To me, that sounds like I'm not respecting their need to know to plan for how many people are going to be there. And then there's always this. If somebody said that to me, I'm I'm wondering too. Like, this is part of my attachment cycle then, and part of my wanting to please them and wanting to make them feel better, and I need to release from that. But it also feels, frankly, it feels like that's disrespectful in my frame, because why can't I just say, "Look, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. Thank you for the invitation." Why is it not better to just be direct, so then it cuts them free from wondering, will you go or not? It cuts me free from that ambiguous tether that I have a strong visceral reaction to letting somebody sort of wonder if I'm going to be there or not. It feels cruel almost.
Okay, so 2 things I can help you with on that is, one, if you're feeling like, hey, this person might need to know whether I'm coming or not, you can ask that question, right? "Oh, thank you for the invite. I really appreciate you inviting me. Do you need to know whether I'm coming or not in a certain time frame in order to plan?" And they may say, "No, we're going to plan for 100 people, and I know 100 people aren't going to come, but we're going to plan for 100. Or they might say, "Yes, actually, I need to know by Thursday because that's when we're going to purchase everything, and I need a final count by Thursday." And you could say, "Okay, well, if I can come, I'll let you know by Thursday." Or another option is what you just said is saying no without saying no. You said, "Unfortunately, I'm not unable to make it, but I really appreciate your invite." You could say that. That's not saying no, right? You haven't said the word no in that phrase. You've been direct, you've been clear. But what I would encourage you to do is preface that with a little bit of, "Hey, I really appreciate the invite. That's really kind of you. If I was able to come, I surely would. But it looks like I'm not able to come on Friday. But hey, I really appreciate the invite. That's so kind of you." That's also saying no without saying no, right? So there's different versions of this. The example that I'm giving you, that's not to say you should use that in every situation. It's not one permanent answer, but what you just shared is the same exact thing. So if that's what you feel comfortable with, that's what I would encourage you to use, because you did say no without saying no. But remember, you're going to use different things in different situations, right? You can usually tell when somebody's inviting you to something how much craving is behind it. Like if they're just like, "Hey guys, I'm having a party this Saturday. It'd be really cool if you guys came." That's where you might be saying, "Oh, hey, I really appreciate the invite, but unfortunately I'm not able to come. But hey, if you have a party in the future, surely let me know. I'd be interested to know about that." But if someone's like, "Hey, Liz, like we're having this party, and if you don't come, my whole world's going to be wrecked. Like I need you to come to this party. Like please come." Like this is a lot of craving coming through. And that's where you're like, oh, you kind of would like to back out of this kind of a little bit. In fact, the more craving somebody has, even if I'm able to come, I wouldn't come, because if I come, their craving gets satisfied. And now the next time I don't come because I can't permanently come, they're going to have so much painful feelings. So there are some situations where people might invite me to something, and if there's a lot of craving behind it, even if I can come, I'll choose not to, because I'm not interested in feeding that craving. And then maybe in the future, I might come to some other thing that they have, especially early in a relationship. I'm not interested in craving being formed and attachment being formed. So sometimes early in a relationship, even when they invite me the first time, even if I can go, I'll just say no without saying no, so that they don't get used to me always coming to every single event that they have. Where if early in a relationship, if you went to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 events, they always get used to you coming. Then on the 7th event, you don't go. Now they're getting the painful feelings because they've gotten so attached to you coming. So you'd like to mix it up to the point where their mind isn't getting attached to you coming to all their events. And this will help preserve the relationship. Sometimes we think by going to every single party my friend has, that's showing I'm being a good friend, and now we'll be better friends. But it's actually just the opposite logic, that their mind's now getting attached to you. And now as long as there's attachment in the relationship, there's going to be frustration and agitation and annoyance. So early on in relationships, you'd like to introduce some impermanence so that their mind doesn't grab on to you. And this way they're going to get painful feelings when you don't do what they want you to to do. So you would like to introduce this impermanence early in your relationship, and then you'll have a very sustaining, very satisfying, very fulfilling relationship with them. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Anybody online have questions, or here? Did you have? Oh, just scratching your head. Just saw you out of the corner of my eye. Okay, let me see if we have any on Facebook or YouTube. Okay. Yes, you have a question? Yep. That was that scratch, right? Your question was coming to the surface. You had to scratch.
This was from the topic a little earlier, but I had something in my notes that stuck with me. I was wondering about you mentioned the enlightenment factor of energy. And I mentioned a couple days ago about having an excess of energy and lots of energy. And I think some of it is definitely attachments, like things that are clouding my mind. I think some of it is like a lot of physical energy. I was an athlete, very physical person. And I think some of it is definitely like divine inspiration in times. Like there's times throughout my life, I mean, I'm sitting here in a Buddhist temple with all of you, so I'm sure we share these experiences where I was able to choose a more graceful path than what was available to me, not because that's what I was taught, because this felt more real to me, right? So I'm wondering, as I'm learning these things and trying to apply a practice to my life, I want not to diminish my energy or have it like so focused that I slow down, because I don't think that's possible for me. That's not natural for me. I just want, as I welcome in all this energy, right, to be more of that divine energy than the one that keeps your attention in a ton of places, right? So this being like an energy to strive for is kind of the frame for my question about just asking a little bit more about that enlightenment factor of energy and what the teachings say.
Sure. So the Buddha teaches 7 factors of enlightenment. And because of the term 7 factors of enlightenment, some people think this is to determine if you are enlightened or you're not enlightened. But in reality, what it is it's a tool to fine tune the mind. Because as you're making your way to enlightenment, you can think of it. You can think about what you're doing is creating this beautiful sculpture, and you're sculpting this beautiful human being, this wonderful human being that is functioning in the world in a way that's not harming others. And if you think about it like a big log, a big chunk of wood, when you're first on the path to enlightenment, you're chucking off with maybe like a hatchet, big chunks of wood, like wrong speech and wrong view and wrong action. You're chunking off these big chunks because you're trying to create this beautiful sculpture, this beautiful human being. Well, then as you're doing that, you're going to change to different tools, and you're going to need different tools at different times. And you're going to ultimately get to a point where you're really trying to fine tune the mind. And this is where the 7 factors of enlightenment come in. The first factor is called mindfulness. And this is the same mindfulness from the Eightfold Path. But in order to get to enlightenment, you're going to need to practice the enlightenment factor of mindfulness, where you have awareness of mind, but more specifically, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. But then with that mindfulness and awareness of mind, whenever you notice that the mind is dull or lethargic or complacent, you would like to practice the enlightenment factor of investigation, energy, and joy. The enlightenment factor of investigation is where you investigate the teachings, you examine them, you independently verify them. Because when you're complacent, dull, and lethargic, that's the last thing that the mind's interested in doing. So you're going to need to apply the effort to arise this enlightenment factor of investigation, to examine the teachings and investigate them. As you do, you're going to also need to apply the enlightenment factor of energy, which is motivation, encouragement, willingness to do something, enthusiasm, ambition. And this is towards developing your life practice and all other aspects of your life, because you feel dull and lethargic. You're just sitting around the house feeling complacent about everything and anything. You're going to need to arise this enlightenment factor of energy to actually do something and take initiative in your life. And then this is where you will see the enlightenment factor of joy starting to come into the mind. And this joy that we're talking about is not associated with any object. So it's not a conditioned joy. It's unconditioned mental quality of joy, where it's not associated with any craving, desire, or attachment. Because you've been investigating the teachings, you're arising this energy, you'll start noticing this joy coming into the mind. And this is how you lift the mind out of a sluggish, dull, lethargic condition. But then you're going to notice that your mind is excited sometimes with like what maybe you're experiencing, where your mind's kind of overactive or excited. And now there's 3 enlightenment factors to practice there to fine tune the mind and bring it to the middle. So those first, or actually the second, third, and fourth, are to lift the mind out of the complacency to bring it to the middle. The next 3 are to bring it out of that excited, overactive state and bring it to the middle, which here you've got the enlightenment factors of tranquility, the enlightenment factors of concentration, and equanimity. So these are all described in chapter 3 of volume 1. You can see how I describe them there. The tranquility is the peace and calmness and steadiness that you would like to bring to the mind. The concentration is the focus, that singleness of mind, the same thing you learned from the Eightfold Path, that same concentration, but now the Buddha is casting it into these 7 factors of enlightenment. This is kind of the overlap of some of his teachings. And then you've got that equanimity from the Brahma Viharas, where there you have the calmness, the composure, the evenness of temper. And this is what's going to bring the mind out of that excited, overactive state. And you would like to do that because if your mind's kind of like undisciplined and unrestrained and it stays in that excited, overactive state, then it doesn't have the awareness of mind, it doesn't have the concentration, it isn't able to access the wisdom. So by bringing it kind of and harnessing it more in the middle, you can maintain your energy, you can maintain your ambition and your motivation, but you're doing that without an overactive mind. That's what you would ultimately like to get to, where you can now focus your ambition and your enthusiasm in a certain direction and you can be very productive with it, rather than kind of letting it go, unbridled or unrestrained. That's where someone might be diagnosed with the ADHD, like you were talking about the other day, because their mind is untrained. It's kind of like, they can't focus. So you would like to harness that energy because you need that energy, but you would like to bring it in the middle where now you can have some steadiness and calmness and stability in the mind and still maintain that ambition and motivation. That's really the driving thing behind that. So these are called the 7 factors of enlightenment. The first one is just to have general awareness of the mind. Then the next three are to lift the mind out of that complacency, the investigation, energy, and joy. And then the other 3 are to bring it out of that overactive state with the tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. Yeah, you're welcome. And these actually help you with other parts of the teachings too. You'll hear me at different times. I'll teach what's called the 5 hindrances. The Buddha teaches these 5 obstacles or obstructions to your enlightenment. And it's the 7 factors of enlightenment that are the solutions to this, to help you eradicate these. So I teach class, it's probably going to be coming up in another couple of weeks, called the 5 hindrances. And there I teach the 7 factors of enlightenment in detail. And then I apply them to these 5 hindrances to show you how to eradicate these obstacles to your enlightenment. Because what you learn on the path to enlightenment is how to attain enlightenment, which is great. You need to learn that. But then the Buddha also teaches, well, these are the 5 things that are going to stop you from getting to enlightenment. And here's how you get rid of them once they arise in your mind. So it's the 7 factors of enlightenment that'll help you with that as well. So this topic here, you guys understanding what I'm sharing? Anybody would like to have any question about any situation you're in or anything you would like to talk about related to this? You guys online can ask questions as well through Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand in Zoom if you like. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions anywhere. Okay, so what I'm going to do is there's this last topic to share with you guys called continuing support on the path to enlightenment. This is the last thing related to the content that I share as part of the course, because once you go through a course and you're learning, you learn a lot of things, but then you're going to need support to implement these things. As you just heard me share earlier, it's not really possible for you to go through a learning event and absorb everything at one sitting, right? It's kind of like sitting down to a big feast. You can't really eat every single thing that's on the table. You kind of take bits and pieces and you're chewing it and you're trying to digest all of this. So when you eat a big meal, what you typically do is you sit back, you let it digest, and then you go have a little bit more. You go eat a little bit more. So when you're ready to learn some more, there's this continuing support on the path to enlightenment where we have books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, and quizzes. You can access all of this from our website, buddhadailywisdom.com. There's in-person and online classes, courses, and retreats. You can attend these now, whether you're here in Chiang Mai or you're anywhere in the world. You can attend these in person or you can attend them online. And at different times, students invite me to travel to different parts of the world. And as you see me traveling throughout the world, if you ever see me teaching a class somewhere, you're always welcome to come. And the way that I set it up is that there's never a requirement or expectation for you to pay anything at any of the places where I teach. So when I organize these with whoever's inviting me, I make sure that they do it in such a way that a fee isn't required. So anytime you learn with me, it's always at no cost. Of course, if someone would like to practice generosity, they're more than welcome to help me to be able to continue to share these teachings, but it's never expected or required. So anywhere you see me teaching, either in person or online, will be available to you at no cost through the classes, courses, and retreats, and you'll get access to those on our website. Then we have 2 ongoing programs that are both in person and online. There's the group learning program in the Words of the Buddha, the Pali Canon and English study group. The group learning program is a 7-month program that goes through the first book, chapter by chapter by chapter, over 7 months. And we meet at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning here. And at 9 p.m., I do it from home. And both of these I live stream, so no matter where you are in the world, you can attend. So like if you were back in North America or South America, it would actually be Saturday night or Sunday morning, where here it's Sunday morning and Sunday night. Or it would be Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning that I have this ongoing program where you can learn. So you can come here or you can attend online live. Or also they're recorded, so you could watch them at your own pace on Monday or Tuesday or what have you. You could always watch them. So what I encourage people to do is to take the group learning program, because that's a very thorough 7-month program that's walking you through all the teachings that you need to really develop your life practice. And then after someone's built a foundation, then there's this Pali Canon and English study group, which we take volumes 2 through 13, and we go through each of these chapters. And this is a 1.5-year program. And once again, I teach it here at 9 a.m. and I teach it at home at 9 p.m. So that's going to be on Saturdays, where the group learning program's on Sunday and Wednesday, the Pali Canon and English study groups on Saturday. And those are ongoing programs. They're live at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. and they're recorded as well on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, and on our podcast. Then, as you need help, there's the ability to schedule personal guidance and personal discussions, either here, if you're in Chiang Mai, or anywhere that I am in the world. You could always reach out and let me know, and I would be willing to meet with you. Or if you'd like to schedule online and we meet in Zoom, maybe you're traveling, I'm in Chiang Mai and you're somewhere else, you can go to our website and you can schedule. It'll show you the available appointments in your local time zone, and then you can schedule that, and then we can just meet in Zoom one-on-one, because you're going to need personal guidance. And you can get help in 4 different ways. You can ask questions in classes. You can ask questions in our Facebook group. If you post in there, I will be the one who answers your question. You can send me a private message with all the messaging apps or email. I'm on all of those things. Or you can schedule personal guidance either here in Chiang Mai or online. We can meet there. So that's a way for you to get help, because you're going to need to personalize these teachings to your individual situations. It's wonderful to learn in a class, but you can only teach to a certain level of detail when you're teaching to multiple people. But when you have a specific challenge in your life, that's where I can really relate it to your specific challenge by asking you questions and understanding your situation. Then I can show you how to apply what the Buddha taught to your specific situation. And there's this Facebook group, as I mentioned, where there's over 16,000 people who are in there asking questions, learning. You're always welcome to join into the Facebook group. And that's where I live stream into as well as YouTube and other places. But the Facebook group's a great place to kind of get together. And I have this main group, which is Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. And then there's another group called Chiang Mai. It's called, Chiang Mai Meditation and Buddhist Study Community. That's a group as well that has things related to what's going on here at the temple. But the larger group has everything in there. So these are all options for you to be able to continue to learn and grow on the path to enlightenment. Any questions on any of these? Yes, sir.
Thank you, David. the general, was it? The group learning program. So did I hear you say that you're starting in one new, and it's a 7-month program? And did you say it's starting? It's pretty soon?
Yeah, it's restarting on March 17th. That's starting from the very beginning. Students can join this program at any time, but oftentimes people like to start it from the very beginning. So it's restarting on March 17th. Sometimes students start it a couple of weeks before the restart, because then they kind of get used to coming and they get the technology going and they kind of get the vibe of the class, so that then when it starts on March 17th, they're right there in terms of the online part. But then it's also here at the temple too. So I'm going to be starting it. It's a Sunday, 17th of March. You could attend here at 9 a.m. You don't have to sign up, but there is a sign up for it if you'd like to sign up for it. And if you come here at 9 a.m., you can attend here or online. And then also at 9 p.m., I teach it from home, because at 9 a.m. here, people like in the UK and places like that are sleeping in other parts of Europe. So that's why I do it at 9 p.m. from home, so that those people can learn as well. So between these two times, it pretty much covers every time zone to be able to access the group learning program.
Thank you.
That one's out too. These batteries aren't holding the charge for some reason.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, very interested in that. And that works through volume 1.
Yeah.
Like from chapter 1, you know.
Yeah, the first 5 weeks or so, I do kind of like an overview of the path to enlightenment, and then I take a deep dive as part of that too. So like there's 3 classes where I break up the Eightfold Path into 3 separate classes, where normally I teach that as just one class. But what I do in the group learning program at the very beginning is I do right view and right intention as one class, and then I do right speech, right action, right livelihood as one class, and then I do one class on right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So by the end of the first 4 or 5 weeks of the group learning program, someone has been able to see the entire path to enlightenment. And then I teach some other things there too, as part of the beginning part of the program. Like I teach the 4 stages of enlightenment and things like this. But then by about the 5th or 6th week, I start at chapter 1. And then we go chapter by chapter from that point forward. And if students are reading the book first or after class and then attending the class, between reading and coming to the class, you'll get what you need to really develop a really nice foundation. Because there's some things that I say in the book that I don't say in the class, because it's just easier to say it in a book. And there's some things in the classes that are easier to say in the classes that aren't in the book. So the combination of the two will help you to really build up your practice.
Great, thank you. And that's Monday and Wednesday. So to get the benefit, Monday and Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so Sunday I go chapter by chapter in the book. And then on Wednesdays, what I do is I'm at the beginning of the group learning program, I'm teaching meditation and doing meditation with you. But then eventually we get to a point where it's just meditate and then open up to any questions that you have, just free form questions. So you're going to see like the first part of the group learning program, it's like really building up your meditation practice. So like the first 4 Wednesdays, it's all focused on learning breathing mindfulness meditation and building that up. Then the next 4 is building up loving kindness. And then the next 4 is building up your chanting practice. And then after that, I just go to meditating and then opening up to any questions that you guys have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so this group learning program, it's a great place to learn and grow. And then we have the Foundation in the Path to Enlightenment course, which is taught every single month, the very first week of the month. We also have what's called an Introduction to the Teachings of the Buddha, which is a 3-hour class, which is happening on the first Saturday of every month. So March 2nd, which is 1 week from now, that's going to happen on March 2nd, which is 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's an introduction to the teachings of the Buddha, and I live stream this one as well. And then we have the Foundation. So if you put these in order, it would be the Introduction to the Teachings of the Buddha, the Foundation and the Path to Enlightenment, the Harmony in Relationships, and then experiencing the jhanas and the 4 stages of enlightenment. These are like the levels of the classes. You don't have to take them in that particular order, but that's kind of like the sequencing of them. Someone could take them as a standalone class. I've organize them in such a way that you don't have any prerequisites from one class to the other. And then I have a retreat that I teach on January, which is everything you need to get to the first stage of enlightenment. I think you took that retreat recently. And then in August, there's a retreat of everything you need to get to it from the first stage of enlightenment to enlightenment itself. So those are the 2 retreats that I do in January and August. And then we've got these ongoing programs of the group learning program and the Pali Canon and English study group happening all the time. So this is the options that you guys have. Plenty of options to learn. There's way more content and resources than you could probably really digest at any one particular time. Okay, so we've come to the end of our class, and I've got a few things just to kind of share with you guys. That usually at the end of a class like this, I like to give you guys a little gift. Of course, I've been giving you the gift of the teachings and sharing the teachings with you. The Buddha says this is the very best gift you could ever give to somebody, which is the teachings of the Buddha, because giving you a gift of teaching you how to eliminate your discontentedness is the very best gift that anyone could give you. So I've been giving you that all throughout the week, but now I actually have an actual gift that I would like to give you that is a material gift, not just the teachings of the Buddha, which again, that's the best, most superior gift that I could ever give you. But this picture that I have back here on the wall of the Buddha, and you see it on all the different things that I use on the slides and things like this, this is the image of the Buddha of how he looked during his lifetime. And the statues that you see, a lot of the pictures that you see of the Buddha, it doesn't actually represent the way he looked during his lifetime. Oftentimes they put a crown on his head, or they show him with all this hair or different things. And this is because the people who were making statues of him, they didn't actually live during his lifetime. They started making statues of him about 200 or 300 years after his death. And he never taught people to make statues of him, but people did make statues of him, and they didn't necessarily know what he looked like. But there's an artist here in Thailand that looked at the original teachings of the Buddha and how he described himself and the way that he looked, and then he did this artwork in order to depict what the Buddha actually looked like during his lifetime. And I think that this is very representative of an individual from that part of the world of Nepal or India, and this is what that person would look like. And you can see that the Buddha shaved his hair, because during his lifetime he talks about shaving his head. He doesn't talk about having this kind of hair that you see in a lot of these statues. Well, I know this to be a representative image of what the Buddha looked like during his lifetime, and I think it's really helpful to humanize a Buddha, because sometimes people like to put a Buddha up on a pedestal really high, where a Buddha isn't interested in that. A Buddha is interested in being humble and down to earth, and they see themselves as the same as you. And I think it's also helpful for you to see a Buddha as the same as you. Of course, they're enlightened. Of course, they got to enlightenment by themselves without the help of any teachers or any guides. Of course, they have deep wisdom and they dedicate their life to sharing the teachings. These are things that you probably won't necessarily do, but you can still get to enlightenment just like a Buddha did. So by humanizing a Buddha and realizing that a Buddha is just like you and just like me, this can be very beneficial for your practice. So I have these pictures, and I printed them out in a smaller form, and I usually give them out to you guys as part of a nice little gift at the end of a course like this. And if you'd like to take one, you're welcome to take it and hang it in your house or hang it somewhere. You're welcome to even give it away to people if you like, because I don't have any expectation of what you should do with this gift, right? If we practice generosity, you have no expectation of anything. So even if you decide to give it to somebody at your hotel, or you give it to some Thai person at a restaurant where you've been maybe eating regularly or something like this gift of the picture of the Buddha is to help you to be able to humanize the Buddha. If you do decide to hang it in any kind of place where you live, it might remind you to practice meditation or to practice right speech or something like this. Maybe if you're on the phone with your mom and the conversation's getting a little bit heated and you kind of turn and you happen to see that picture out of the corner of your eye, it might remind you, oh yeah, right speech. Let me not talk to mom so aggressively. So if you would like this picture, I have them up here, and they just happen to be rolled up and they kind of look like diplomas. So even though it's the end of a class, I don't have a diploma or certificate for you, but if you would like one, you're welcome to come up as we break from class here, and I'll give you one. Even if you've gotten one before, you're welcome to have one again. And for those of you guys online, I can't hand you the printed poster because technology hasn't gotten to that point yet. Maybe it will in some point, but I do have the same thing on our website, so you can go get it. If you go to buddhadailywisdom.com, you can click on free books, and down towards the bottom you have this same image, and you can put it on your phone as a wallpaper, you can put it on your computer as a wallpaper. Even you guys here could do that. That's what I have it on my phone because it's a nice little reminder for you when you're talking on the phone to have right speech and things like that. And then those of you guys at home, you can even take this file and go print it if you like. So feel free to do that. That's my gift to all of you guys who have been attending the course regularly. And then the other thing that I will share with you guys is here at the end of a course, sometimes students like to practice a little bit of generosity and take care of the classroom because we've been here throughout the week. You don't have to do this. I'm not expecting you to do it, but sometimes students like to do a little bit of vacuuming or sweeping or cleaning the bathroom, taking out the trash, because there's this temple, it doesn't belong to anybody. It's not my classroom. It doesn't belong to me, but yet it belongs to everybody. So it belongs to no one, but yet it belongs to everyone. It's a community center. It's a learning center. And the reason why it's here is because prior to us, people donated resources to be able to build it. And now we have a nice place to be able to learn and understand the teachings. And however we choose to take care of this space, we'll make it available to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. So if you guys would like to do something like that, you're more than welcome. I have in this first door, there's like a storage room with brooms and mops and cleaning supplies and things like that. And there's even some in the bathroom as well. Sometimes people like to even go out into the temple at large and clean up out there too. You know, I'm not saying that you have to do this or expecting you to do it, but sometimes people even go outside and sweep up outside because we've used that space as we've come and go as well. So that's something that you might think about as we're ending our class today. And then the third thing is we will oftentimes end this class a bit early like this. We usually kind of finish prior to lunch, and sometimes students like to go out for a nice lunch together at the end of class. If you guys would like to do that, I could offer some different suggestions of restaurants that might be nice for us to go to, depending on if you guys would like to go or what your budget is. So if you'd like to do something like that, you can let me know as we break up from class, and we can maybe go out to lunch together and spend some time. If not, if you're headed off somewhere else, no worries. You can use the art of the friendly no if you like, and give you some little bit of practice to say no without saying no. If you say no to me, I'm not going to get discontent or upset, but it might give you a little bit of practice for that, right? So here at the end, I would like to just say thank you for all of you guys here at the temple and those of you guys online for choosing to dedicate this time to learn and practice the teachings. Because as your mind becomes wiser and wiser and you train your mind like this, it's the very best thing for you, for those close to you, and all of humanity. It's really wonderful whenever any students come together, even just one student. If just one student showed up, I would be teaching still, because it's wonderful for that individual and for you as an individual to learn and practice and train your mind, get to the point where you're not causing harm in the world. And you'll find that your life becomes more and more peaceful. And I really admire people who dedicate time to do this inner work, because it's challenging. It's a little bit of a struggle, right? To do this work and learn these teachings and sit on the floor and ask questions. And, you know, the temperature might not be exactly what you would like it to be at your house, or maybe the bathroom isn't as neat and as clean as it is in your house or something like that. So when people come to learn at the temple or they learn online with me, I really just like to share my appreciation that you're choosing to learn and practice these teachings, because it's helping you, it's helping all those around you, and it's helping all of humanity. So thank you all for your dedication to the teachings. And as you would like to learn more, I'll be here to help you. Okay, so thank you all, and have a really lovely and wonderful rest of your day, whatever you choose to do. Take care. Okay, be well. Mm-hmm. you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.